So despite the fact that the first part is on drip, which we call the Dununpa here, the first slide talks about what existed before colonization, because it didn't need UNDRIP, in a sense, because there was already rights and laws that existed. That's what we call inherent. Forgot if it's the right word in English, but anyway, that already existed, and that it comes from all worldviews, values, principles, protocols, way of conducting lives, so all of that, and so that it is, you can find that in the original stories and other stories, and that it comes with responsibilities also that you can find all sort of diplomacy, weddings, ceremonies, and all sort of things that manifest that. Also that Burroughs, Ottawa, and Commission Royale d'Enquête are resources for that. Then the next slide is about DUNPA, UNDRIP in itself, and it talks about the fact that UNDRIP recognized the legitimacy of laws and indigenous governance, and it asked that all states, especially and even provincial states like us here in Quebec, adapt their laws to the declaration and to the indigenous laws, and that we respect the right to the FPIC. And then, the UNDRIP is not, though it's not enforced internationally, it functions through the international pressure and the civil society here and elsewhere. It's going to be enforced in some days if we don't destroy the state of laws in the world. And then Canada has adopted it, and jurisprudence starts, like the law cases. And in British Columbia, it's quite advanced. They actually did it before Canada, and the application of it is starting. There's action plans, action reports, rapport, and on that implementation. And also that the fact that it's not juridiquement contraignant, it means that we mainly take into account the spirit of the UNDRIP, and we adapt it, because like everywhere in the world there's different sets of laws, so we need to, it's better to just adapt the laws than just have something that something too rigid. So, but doesn't mean that we don't apply it. Then what I says is that I talk a bit about the cases of laws. So of course there's many in British Columbia and in Canada, but here in Quebec in 2023 there was the Montour case, where two Kenyan Keaga had the right to do the business with the tobacco, and because the judge said that UNDRIP applies, and especially in the context of reconciliation, and then in 2024 the Supreme Court has said that indigenous governance wins over provincial governance on child issues, all child issues. So and then I said that Québec against laboratoire nucléaire, what they have to observe UNDRIP, and in particular the FPIC, and So even if though they were just a little para-governmental thing, they still have to do it. And then into 2025, the Jigstala case it says that DRIPA is mandatory and becomes law in BC. There, I'm not sure what it means. Like, does it mean like you don't even have to adjust the non-Indigenous laws because Indigenous laws apply first, or do you still need to do this, merging of laws or making sure they don't contradict each other? Not sure what it means exactly. So, and I'm also saying that in March of 2025, the PNQL leaders had gone to the United Nations to say that they are losing time and money all the time to fight Quebec government that negates their rights about the forestry. And also, this is my understanding, but my understanding is that we lose in the non-Indigenous government lose in court. And so this would be an argument to stop that, because we just lose money and time too. Then the next slide is about the application of UNDRIP in British Columbia, and I'm explaining a bit how you came to that, to adopt that and then apply it, and that it was discussions and decisions between the women leaders of urban non-for-profit and other organization, and then the hereditary territory chiefs, and then the IPN chiefs and the experts, all of you, and then that you have decided together, on the main values, the main pillars and everything, to construct from that. And then after you went to see the Prime Minister and the ministers. So I also have a slide on what for me is the future of the rights of both Indigenous and non-Indigenous laws. And so for me, I understand that UNDRIP and PIC will be applied all the time, and Indigenous laws will need to be studied by everyone, all provinces everywhere, and everything that leads to it, like the vision, the culture, and that the Indigenous, of course, what it says is that the Indigenous laws there's an important work to adapt them to the non-Indigenous laws. There's an important work to adapt them to the Indigenous laws. And yes, of course, my personal will in that is that our laws become simpler, and that with more meaningful. There's I'm putting a bemol in that, if it's the return of the law of the strongest in the world, I'm wondering if the ONU is destroyed and everything, so I'm kind of worried about that. So I put it there, if there's a return of fear, avidity, and supremacism, etc. So anyway, and but still, what I'm really worried is that they understand that they're lawyers, because they have a cause now, and I want to make sure that when that their advocates are using UNDRIP and all the law cases that come with it. So basically, that's what I want to tell them. So